It's Tuesday, so that means it's sports and fantasy football Q&A time. Thanks to you guys that tweeted me your questions at pfspot_Schlegel on Twitter is the handle. Tweet me your questions. I try to do these Tuesday, Thursday, and then usually Saturday at some time. That weekend one tends to be fantasy football only Q&A questions. So if you have lineup questions, trade questions, waiver wire questions, feel free to shoot them to me for these Q&As as well, but specifically for that one on the weekend. And then, for these ones, sports questions, whatever the case might be. So let's see here. Let's get started. Colorado MMA fan asks, who has now gotten the better of the Jay Cutler for Kyle Orton deal? Well, it definitely wasn't the Chicago Bears. I mean, the Broncos got 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and Kyle Orton for Jay Cutler, basically. How bad is that? And you can say, well, Orton's no longer there, Moreno's no longer there, Ayers is no longer there, what have you. But, getting out from under Cutler, was a big win for that organization. Eventually freed up the way for them to sign Peyton Manning. So who looks like the big winners here? It's not the Chicago Bears. Fulia Georgian 1. Why does it surprise you that the Steelers have played half of their games looking like world beaters and the other half playing like that? This is in reference to me commenting about the Steelers losing to the Jets. It doesn't surprise me. This is why the Steelers aren't taken more seriously. This is why the Steelers, to me, are still a mediocre football team. They have a habit, a pattern, a trend in recent seasons of sitting there and beating some really good teams and losing to teams they have absolutely no business losing to. They do this every fucking year. If it's a reflection on the quarterback, is it a reflection on the head coach? Is it just the way it is? I don't know. But, yeah, man, I mean, there's something to that. There's no question about it. And that's why I don't take them that seriously every year, because they always lose to teams that they have no business losing to. Let's see here. Kevin McAllister 6 asks, any good quarterbacks in the draft next year? Well, then again, Emory will keep Cutler around for another year. I don't know. Because Emory might not be around another year. Bears might finally move on from Cutler. They might. Maybe that's just the hope in me. Yeah, there's some good quarterbacks in this upcoming draft class. It depends on your perspective, whether you like Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, Connor Cook. A quarterback that I like a little bit is Garrett Grayson from Colorado State. Maybe there will be some Brett Hundley fans. I need to watch these quarterbacks more before I tell you just who all is good, just who all isn't, who all is underrated, who all is overrated. But some of the guys that I've liked so far on film or in watching them, I've liked Grayson. I don't know if I like him as a first-round prospect or not yet, but I do like him some as a prospect. I like Connor Cook, even though I have some concerns about his accuracy. I like Mariota quite a bit. And there are things about Jameis Winston's game that I really, really like as well. In some ways, he reminds me of McNair. In other ways, he reminds me of Cam Newton. But again, those aren't bad comparisons in my eyes. So, yes, there will be good quarterbacks there. And, of course, the Bears probably wouldn't draft one. So, there you go. Anthony James TV, after Sunday's game against the Packers, do you think Cutler is the worst quarterback in the NFC North? I mean, we haven't seen enough of Bridgewater, I think, to say that he's better than Cutler per se. I can't imagine him being much worse. Kevin McAllister 6 also wanted to know, if you took over the Bears tomorrow, what changes would you make and why? I would fire everybody from Ted Phillips on down. Start completely over. I'd do whatever I could heading into this draft to trade up to the number 1 overall pick to get the quarterback that I wanted. There's going to be a couple of franchise quarterbacks in this draft, but there's going to be one guy that stands out above the rest. I want that guy, and I need to do whatever it takes to get that guy. Because until I get that guy, I can't begin the full, complete, total necessary rebuild that would be necessary. So that's the first thing you got to do. Fire everybody, and then go find your quarterback, and then the process can begin. All right, let's see here. What other questions we got? I'm just kind of sorting through here, and there's been a lot of interactions on Twitter with me over the past couple of days, so just bear with me. You have GatorTop93 asks, he said, I thought you liked David Fales. You said this in a video before. I did. When did I say I didn't? No. If I don't say, like if I said David Fales is a bum, or David Fales sucks, or I don't like David Fales, then you could question me on it. When did I say that, Dylan? I didn't say that at all. I was frustrated about the fact that The Bears cut David Fales for some damn reason. I thought he was a great fit for Trestman's system. I thought he was a good selection. I thought he was very good value in the 6th round. I like David Fales quite a bit. I thought it was stupid they let him go. So there, I've clarified it now. And then he also said even Bryce Petty is worth a shot. Well, he might be worth a shot for your Giants. It better not be for the Bears. Devin Throw, which franchise would you like to see come back more, the Oilers or the Supersonics? Neither. Houston has a football team, and Seattle doesn't deserve an NBA team. So neither. Didn't see that one coming, did you? I say neither. Let's see here. What else that you got? Blue Ridge 330. Who are some of the NFL's most incompetent GMs of the past 30 years? Obviously, Matt Millen. He would be one. Some Redskins fans might say Bruce Allen. Who else? Jerry Angelo was pretty bad for the Bears. I mean, he was like really bad. There have been a lot of them. There are a few that stand out to me. Idzik's really bad with the Jets, but he's only been GM for a season and a half, so I don't know if he's the most incompetent. I mean, Millen tops the list, and everybody else is second tier. I think Reggie McKenzie is slowly getting into that category, in my opinion. So there you go. Let's see here. Duke THS, thoughts on Chris Hogan and Boobie Dixon? Franchise potential for the Bills? No. No. A franchise player would be Sammy Watkins. I think you'd look at Boobie Dixon and Chris Hogan and think of them as having franchise potential. Yeah, come on now. Come on, Duke. Casey. Let's not get too caught up in the Bill BS here, okay? All right. The Owens asked, I traded for Carson Palmer last week. Now he has a torn ACL and I'm rattled. What do I do? First off, you never make that type of mistake again. If you're going to trade for a quarterback, try and trade for a big-time quarterback. You probably didn't need to trade for Carson Palmer. So you learn from the mistake that you just made and vow never to repeat it ever again. And then you got to cut him and scour the waiver wire and hope you can find a quarterback. You need to hit me up on Twitter and maybe I can help you with that. But you shouldn't panic. You should be mad at yourself, but you shouldn't panic. Especially if you have a chance at getting into your league's fantasy playoffs. Because once you get there, anything can happen. Then he also asked, biggest upset in NBA Finals history. Biggest upset in NBA Finals history. You got to look at that Pistons team in 2004 beating that Lakers team in 5 games as a pretty big upset. I think that would rank in that category, probably. I'm trying to think here of what else would really classify as like a huge major upset. In some people's minds, maybe the Spurs totally dominating the Heat in 5 games like they did in this year's NBA Finals. I don't know if I'd classify that as a big, huge upset. I would think the Pistons beating the Lakers in the way they did in 2004 was a much bigger upset, especially this team still like Kobe and Shaq, a team that had won 3 straight championships. So, in terms of other upsets in NBA Finals history, I'm trying to go in the way back machine here. Maybe the Bucks winning in 71. Oh, Christ. Now you really tested me. Yeah, I don't know if I could come up with any other specifically. One that keeps standing out to me a lot is that one in 2004. That was a pretty huge upset in terms of NBA Finals anyways. Let's see here. Anything else? Oh, yes. Ilias99, is Jay Cutler's contract even worse than the one the Redskins gave to Albert Haynesworth? Oh, yeah, God, yes. It's not always just about the money. It's about how it handicaps an organization. When you give that type of money to a quarterback after all those years of that quarterback showing you he doesn't deserve that type of contract, knowing that continues to handicap your organization for years to come, the contract is far worse than the one the Redskins gave Albert Haynesworth. Far, far worse. 63 Sharif. Hey, Jeff, I need a second running back and a flex. I've got Ahmad Bradshaw, Mark Ingram, Matt Forte, Jerick McKinnon, and Gio Bernard. Oh, you said you need 2 running backs and a flex. I apologize. Well, this is very easy. You go Matt Forte, you go Mark Ingram, And you probably go Ahmad Bradshaw. I would say McKinnon, except for the fact that Asiata seems to keep vulturing goal line touches away from him. So Bradshaw's got more touchdown potential. But Forte is pretty much still a no-brainer. Ingram's a no-brainer at this point, and Bradshaw's probably the other one. Matt Meff 2, most underrated and overrated Cubs player in 2014. Underrated? Underrated, I'll probably go with Arrieta. He was really good this year. He was really good. Some of those arms in the bullpen were pretty underrated too. I like what the Cubs have done in terms of constructing a young bullpen with power arms on the back end. That I really do like. Overrated Cubs player in 2014. Sadly, I've got to say Alcantara and Baez. Because these guys were incredibly high prospects and they had flashes, but those are flashes. They weren't consistently that good. Obviously, they're still young. They'll have a full 2015 to figure things out. That's a little concerning because I was thinking that both of them were going to come up and at least play better than they did. I mean, that was, yeah. Out of the three big prospects that came up, I thought Soler looked the best of the three. I was a little surprised and disappointed in Alcantara, just a little bit. A lot more surprised and disappointed, frankly, in Baez. He has that Brett Jackson disease of seeming to strike out every single time. A. Samuel, 95-29. Do you think Anthony Barr will win Defensive Rookie of the Year? And thoughts on Teddy Bridgewater so far? I don't know if he'll win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award or not. I mean, he definitely deserves some consideration, and he could. He's in the mix. But I don't know if he will win it or not. We'll see. But then your question as far as Bridgewater. I've liked some of what I've seen out of Bridgewater. He has seemed at moments to be a little unsure of himself. One thing that concerns me is something that's concerned me a little bit with Geno Smith is the fact that these guys seem to be afraid to run. I understand you want to be known as a pocket passer. I understand that. But you are athletic. There are times where it's called for to run. Don't be afraid to run. Now, in terms of Bridgewater, I think he could use more help. I mean, he hasn't had AP to hand the ball off to, so that most certainly hasn't helped. They still can't figure out a way to get the ball in Cordero Patterson's hands, which is a problem. That offensive line really has struggled to protect him, so I think Bridgewater's done okay. If you're a Vikings fan, you got to feel much better about the future of your team than somebody like a Bears fan like me should feel about my team. That's for damn sure. Vikings seem to be heading in a good direction. The Bears are heading in the complete opposite direction. UF GatorChomp 93 just posted one. He asked, which two AFC and NFC teams do you see getting the wild card by year's end if you had to go with your gut? In terms of the NFC, one of the two wild cards will go to a team in the NFC West, and I think the other wild card will be between Dallas and Green Bay. If I had to guess at this point in time, Green Bay will get one of the two wild cards, and Seattle might get the other. Dallas might slide in there still and get it as well. It depends. The thing that hurts a Seattle or San Francisco or even in Arizona is their schedule and who they still have to play. So that they still have to beat up on each other. But if I had to say right now, I would say the division winners, I think it'll be the Eagles, the Lions, the Saints, and the Cardinals. I think we still could somehow find a way to hold on in the West, even though I have some concerns that eventually reality will catch up with them. Then the wild card, like I said, I would have to go with... No, you know what? I changed my mind. I'll go with San Francisco and Green Bay. And then in the AFC, in terms of the two wild card teams, I will go with Baltimore and Kansas City. Yeah, that's what I'd go with right now. And then let's see here. Any other questions? And then he also asked, will the Raiders go winless this season? They're playing hard. I think they're going to win a game or two this year, but not much more than that. Thanks again for you guys submitting your questions. I'll have another Q&A hopefully up Thursday. See you later.